Okay, good afternoon, students. Am I audible? Am I audible? Can everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, in my last class, I think we had discussed on the igneous rocks, is it not? So, only 27 of you have joined till now. Inform the rest of them as I'm going to start the class. Ask them to join as soon as possible. Inform your friends to join as soon as possible so that we can start our class. Today I'm going to start on the sedimentary rocks concept. Okay. So in my last class, I think we had discussed on the igneous rocks. So from this class, we should start our discussion on the sedimentary rocks. Okay. So what are sedimentary rocks? Sedimentary rocks are the rocks that are formed by the process of sedimentation, sedimentary cycle. Sedimentary cycle means anything which undergoes weathering, disintegration, uh, transportation, and finally deposition. The process by which any rock is being formed in such a way, those rocks are called as a sedimentary rocks. Okay, So these are formed by the accumulation of the sediments. Okay, sediments are the small particles which are found in nature after the disintegration of the rock. Either it may be broken down physically or chemically. Okay, they form the sediments. So there are three types of sedimentary rocks. One is a clastic sedimentary rock, like that are formed from the pre-existing rock grains or rock fragments. Okay, they are formed from the mechanical weathering. It's a very important issue. Clastic sedimentary rocks are formed from the mechanical weathering of the rocks. Okay, so next is a chemically sedimentary rocks. So chemical sedimentary rocks such as rock salt, iron ore, chert, flint, dolomites, limestones. So these forms, when they are dissolved, materials precipitate from the solution. See, there are certain minerals or elements that are dissolved in water. So when they precipitate out from the solution, these rocks are being formed, the chemically sedimentary rocks. So next is organic sedimentary rocks like the coal, dolomites and other limestones. They are formed from the accumulation of the debris of either plant or animal remains. Okay, they are formed from the debris, waste from the remains of the plants and animals. They are formed from the accumulation of such plant or animal debris. So coming to the sandstone, so the first important rock in a sedimentary rock is a sandstone. So sandstone is a sedimentary rock. So sandstone is a sedimentary rock that is composed of sand-sized grains of mineral, rock, or organic material. So these are comprised of the sand-sized grains. Okay, I've seen the sand. Okay, so any particle which are of the or size of the order of the sand, then those rocks are called termed under sandstones. Okay, it also contains the cementing material. Okay, so there should be some binding material that binds the broken rock fragments together. Okay, so what happens is the cementing material will be sometimes will that of the silica. Okay, it contains of silt or clay sized particles that occupy the spaces between the sand grains. So sandstone is one of the most common types of the sedimentary rock and is also found in sedimentary basins throughout the world. Okay, so it is also used as a construction material or also as a raw material used for the manufacturing. Sometimes in the subsurface or levels, these sandstones often serves as a aquifer or a water holding formations for groundwater or as a reservoir rock for the oil and natural gas reserves. Okay, so this serves as a reserve rock or a reservoir either for groundwater or it may be for oil and natural gases. So what is a sand? So sand means geologists what they refer is particles of sand grains in which the rocks are rather than the material of which it is composed. It is the order of in the range of size from 1/16 millimeter to 2 mm in diameter. Okay, sand sized particles, their size ranges from 1/16 mm to 2 mm in diameter. Okay, so you can see how much the sand size will vary. Okay, 1/16 of mm to 2 mm in diameter. Sandstones are the rocks that are primarily composed of sand sized grains. Okay, so how these are being formed? These are formed from the weathering and transport of sand. Okay, so the grains of the sand, what happens in a sandstone? Particles of mineral, rock, or organic material that have been reduced to sand size by weathering and they are finally transported to their site by action of moving water, wind, or even by the ice. Okay, so their time and distance of transport may be brief or significant. Okay, and during that journey itself, the grains are acted upon by chemical and physical weathering. What happens is during the movement of the particles collide against one another, they hit against one another, and further there is reduction in size. Okay, initially the particles will be of 2 mm, Okay, when the particles initially break down, it may be of 2 mm in size, but during the transportation, what happens is the particles are colliding against one another, they are hitting against one another, and due to the abrasion action or the hitting action, the particles size further reduces during transportation. Okay, so coming to the deposition site, if the sand is deposited very close to its source rock, then it will resemble the source rock itself in composition. Okay, if the particle has not traveled to very long distances, if the particles that are being broken down are not traveled to very long distances, then it resembles the particles which are in the source rock itself. Okay, the particles resemble to the source rock itself. Further, if a more time and distance is there from the source rock and the deposit, sand deposit, the composition will be changed during its transport. Okay, if there is lot of distance from the source rock to the deposited site, okay, source rock is somewhere here, the somewhere in for small example, if we take the source rock is somewhere near our college premises, that is, you can see the Ragiguda. Okay, and the deposited particles are somewhere near for example, for small example, if we take Gopala, which is on the last end or the bus stand, you can see there is a lot of distance. Okay, so distance is too long. Okay, or else you can consider something examples in Honadi. Okay, small example, if the source rock is our Ragiguda and the particles are deposited near Honadi, then the distance is too long. Okay, so by that time the particles reaches the site of Honadi, there is lot of changes in their composition. Okay, how that composition is being changed during its transport itself. Okay, the particles that are being transported during the time of transportation, the composition of the rocks or the particles will be generally changing because it is a different terrain. So next, the grains are composed of easily weathered materials that will be modified, and the grains which are physically weak will be reduced in size or it may be destroyed also. During the course of transport, what happens is the particles collide against one another, they hit against one another, and further reduction in size may lead to the complete destruction of the particle itself. Complete destruction of the particle itself. Okay, and if a granite outcrop is a source of a sand, then the original material might be composed of grains of hornblende, biotite, orthoclase, and the quartz. Okay, so this is a small example to show how exactly it is. If it is a granitic outcrop, then the source of the sand will be like hornblende, it may be biotite, it may be orthoclase, and also it may be quartz. Okay, so what happens is hornblende and biotite are most chemically physically susceptible to destruction, and they will be eliminated in the early stage of transport itself, because these two minerals are essentially comprised of iron and magnesium. Okay, iron and magnesium are chemically very inert. Okay, so you can know that if a small piece of iron is always kept under you can say it, if you keep that outside, it starts to attack the rust. Okay, so during the course of rusting, the particles are being removed. Similarly, these two minerals are chemically very inert, sorry, chemically very strong. Okay, so they are very susceptible to destruction, and during the transportation itself, these two particles are being lost. Okay, so quartz and orthoclase are very resistant to weathering. Okay, so quartz and orthoclase are very resistant to weathering. So because quartz do not possess any cleavages, that's why it can sustain to very longer periods. Okay, so that's why what happens is it has got a greatest chance of survival. Okay, so they are more chemically inert, harder, and are not prone to cleavages. Okay, quartz is typically the most abundant type of sand grain which is present in the sandstone. It is also extremely abundant in source material, and also it is extremely durable during transport. As the quartz do not possess any cleavages, the particles will never have the tendency to break along them. Okay, the particles cannot very easily break along. Okay, only if the minerals have possessed the cleavages, then the particles can be broken down. Okay, if the minerals do not possess cleavages, then the particles are not very easily broken down. That's why It is found in a very huge abundant quantity. Coming to next, these are the different types of the sandstones. You can see how exactly they are being binded against one another. You can see the fragments of the quartz. You can see the pink ones are the feldspars. You can see the white ones are also the feldspar itself. The pink ones are the plagioclase orthoclase feldspar. White ones are the plagioclase feldspar. The black ones are the biotite micas. Okay, so the transparent varieties are the quartzes. So, so this is how the order of the sandstone will be found. So this is one of the sandstone also. This is one of the sandstone which is used as a construction material. Okay, so these are the certain beautiful monuments that are being constructed in the past using sandstone. Okay, so this is one which is found in the Jordan. Okay, so this is one beautiful piece of work that is being found in the Jordan. Okay, this is the one that is found in the Hawa Mahal, Rajasthan. Okay, so this you can saw this is the Red Fort. Okay, this is the Red Fort, which is be entirely built of the red sandstone, and these are the Badami caves here in Bagalkot, near Bagalkot in Badami, where you can say that they are being carved out of the red sandstone itself. Okay, so these are the Badami caves itself. You can see these are all the red sandstones along which the beautiful carvings are being done. Okay, coming to the next important rock is the limestone. So limestone is a sedimentary rock that is composed primarily of calcium carbonate, CaCO3, in the form of mineral calcite. Okay, so it most commonly forms in clear warm water solution or clear. Okay, so it is usually an organic sedimentary rock that forms from the accumulation of shell, coral, algal, and fecal debris. So shells, corals, algae, they're all debris that are consisting of calcium carbonate within them. Okay, when they decompose, those calcium carbonate accumulate together to form a rock. Okay, and also it can be also be a chemical sedimentary rock that are formed from the precipitation of calcium carbonate from lake or ocean water. Okay, so there are certain times what happens is there are a lot of calcium carbonates that are being present in the atmosphere, which forms down, or it may go down in the form of calcites. Okay, so now people are using a lot of fertilizers, urea and potash and sodium, NPK, all those things. They all are also known to carry some calcium carbonate within them. Okay, so early morning, if you go to the fields, you can see the white precipitates of the calcium carbonates that will be formed in the form of encrustations on the earth, on the fields. Okay, if you go towards the rice fields, paddy fields, or any other places, sugarcane fields, you can see the white incrustations that will be found on the ground. Okay, that is nothing but the excess calcium carbonate that are being precipitated out from the ground. Coming to the composition of limestone by definition it's a rock that contains at least 50% of the calcium carbonate in the form of calcite. Okay, so it is majorly comprised of calcium carbonate. Okay, no other will be present. It will be majorly composed of calcium carbonate. So it may consist of other rocks also, materials also, like your quartz, feldspar, clay materials, clay minerals, pyrite, siderite, and also other minerals may also be present within them. Okay, so it can also contain large nodules of charite or pyrite or even the siderite. Siderite is nothing but a iron carbonate. Okay, so calcium carbonate content of limestone gives it a property to identify the rock, like the brisk effervescence. Okay, when you drop a small quantity of HCl, dilute HCl on the limestone, it starts to give out brisk effervescence. Okay, it starts to react because dilute HCl, when it is being dropped on calcium carbonate, it forms a calcium chloride. Okay, so there is a brisk effervescence, and bicarbonate is being released. Okay, HCO3 will be released. Okay, so that is how you can find out whether the given rock is calcium carbonate limestone or any other things. Okay, so coming to the varieties, so chalk is a variety of a limestone. You know, it is a very soft limestone with a very fine texture. It is usually white or light grain color. It is formed from the calcareous shell remains of microscopic marine organisms like the foraminifera or other calcareous remains, okay, which are of the marine algae. Okay, next is a coquina. Coquina is a very poorly cemented limestone that is composed of mainly broken shell debris. Okay, it often forms on beaches where wave action segregates shell fragments of similar sizes. So next is a fossiliferous limestone, where it is obvious and abundantly composed of only limestones or the fossils. Limestone is being mainly composed of only the fossils. They may be shell or skeletal fossils of the organisms that are produced the limestones. Next is a oolitic limestone, which composed of small spears of concentric calcium carbonate, which are formed from the precipitation of calcium carbonate on a sand grain or a shell fragment. Okay, so oolitic limestone will be rounded nodules or grains of the rounded concentric calcium carbonates. Okay, next is a travertine, which is formed from the evaporation precipitation, often in cave, to form the stalactites and stalagmites and flow stones. If you have anybody visited the Andaman and Nicobar, you can see certain drippings that are formed from the either from the top of the cave or from the bottom of the cave. Okay, what happens is, if an area is rich in calcium carbonate, if any area is rich in calcium carbonate, what happens is, those calcium carbonate, when reacted with the precipitation, that is atmospheric discharge of water, rainfall. Okay, so what happens is, whenever the groundwater, when the rainfall water or the precipitation water starts to infiltrate through the layers of the limestone, it dissolves the calcium carbonate along with the water. The water which infiltrates into the ground dissolves the limestone along with it. Okay, so in such a process, what happens is, the products finally, when it infiltration is complete, it starts to drip on one place. The calcium carbonates along with in them starts to drip out and forms a hanging walls from the top, which is called as stalactites, or it may descend from the bottom, known as a stalagmites. Okay, so they are the beautiful caves that are present in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Okay, so next are the tufa. Tufa are limestone that are produced by the precipitation of calcium waters in a hot spring. Okay, whenever a hot spring is present, if it precipitates the calcium carbonate, so such reactions are almost carrying called by the tufas. Okay, so these are the different varieties of the calcium carbonate. You can see the chalk. These are the chalks. The usually which we write on the board is usually attributed to the chalk itself. So these are the coquinas and these are the tufas. Okay, so uses of the limestone. So it is used as a dimension stone. Yes, it is oftenly cut into blocks and slabs of specific dimensions for use in construction and also in architecture. So a very beautiful example of the limestone is one which is used is your facing stones, floor tiles, stair treads, window sills, and also many other purposes. Okay, so it is used as a very important dimension stone for flooring itself. As I told you in my earlier class, during the late 90s and 2000s, what happened was there was a lot of amount of limestone that was available, so people started using that limestone into the flooring itself. Okay, so next are the roofing granules. Yes, crushed to fine particle sized crushed limestone is used as a weather and heat resistant coating on asphalt impregnated shingles in the roofing. It is also used as a top coat on built up roofs. Okay, as a flux stone, yes, it is used in a smelting of iron. Okay, so majorly iron and also other metal refining process also. crushed limestone, what happens is used in smelting and other metal refining process. In the heat of smelting, limestone, what happens is it combines with the other impurities, and that impurities will be removed in the form of slag. So yes, Portland cement, yes, limestone is heated in a kiln with shale, sand, and other materials and ground to a powder that is hardened after being mixed with water. The ordinary Portland cement, which we use for the construction purposes, OPC. Okay, ag lime, which is another calcium carbonate, which is a cost-effective and acid-neutralizing agents. Okay, so it is a very effective material which is used for treating the acidic soils. Okay, so even to today, if this will be used by the farmers, okay, when the acidity of the soil is too much, when the soil is very highly rich in acid content, what they do is they usually mix them with their soil, ag lime. Okay, and also lime, you know, it is sunda, which is used in a variety of purposes. Okay, yes, you can know what are the purposes that lime is being used during your human body also contains some of the calcium carbonate. Okay, so lime is also used in as in your beetle leaves. Okay, and also it is very important if you break your hand or leg or fractures anything like that, the doctors apply the plaster using the limestone itself. Okay, lime itself, calcium carbonate itself. Now the only question is the doctors could have used something else, they could have used something else, but why they use this limestone itself, calcium carbonate, for the plaster purposes? See, our bone is entirely made up of calcium carbonate. Okay, initially when they apply the plaster on any part of the affected area, it will be very huge. Okay, it will be very huge. As the day progresses, when your bone starts to heal, what happens is the size of the plaster that is being applied decreases. Have you ever thought why? The simple reason is that the calcium carbonate that is applied as a plaster on the any part of the affected area, that calcium carbonate will be absorbed by the bone of the fractured. The fractured part, what happens is the fractured part absorbs the calcium carbonate that is applied as a plaster, and then it starts its healing process. Okay, so that is why the doctors always use this calcium carbonate only for the fractures. No other element is being used. Okay, and also it is used as a animal feed filler. Okay, so chickens, they need the calcium carbonate to produce strong eggshells. So what happens is they use the calcium carbonate as a dietary supplement in the form of chicken grits. Okay, so you know that some dairy cattle also will be replaced by large amounts of calciums. Okay, and also it is used as a mine safety dust, rock dust. Okay, what happens is the pulverized or the small pieces of the limestone, which is white powder, is also sprayed on the exposed coal mines surfaces so that the ammonia and the nitrogen will not be released from the coal. Okay, coal usually contains lot of ammonia. Okay, that ammonia and the nitrogen, if it starts to be releasing from the coal mines, then the miners will be suffocated, they may die because of suffocation. Okay, so that's why they spray them to avoid the release of the ammonia and the nitrogen. Okay, so it has got other uses also, like your powder stream limestone is used as a filler in paint, paper, rubber and plastics. Okay, so the white color which you get for the paper is always attributed to the use of the limestone itself as a filler. Okay, initially the paper that is being produced will be of brown color. So after the addition of the limestone, when the limestone is being added as a filler, that gives white color to the paper. Okay, and also in paints, in olden days people used to get the tubes, they used to mix them with the limestone, sunna anta kariyoradna, they used to call them as sunna, limestone. They used to apply the limestone itself to the houses. Okay, even today in many places the use of this limestone is being done to the areca and the coconut trees. Okay, so it is also used as a filler stone in sewage disposal systems. and also it is used as a sorbent, so which absorbs the pollutants. Okay, so this is a one gray limestone. Okay, next is a shale rock, which we will discuss in the next class. Shale and conglomerate. Now, if you have got any questions, you can ask me now. I'll stop my discussion here. If you have got any questions, we can discuss in next class. You can drop in your user numbers. So we shall continue our discussion next class. Thank you very much.